The Banshee, maybe not as popular as your generally accepted ghostly spirits, entities, and ghouls, but still worth discussing. The Banshee is one of those characters that gives you a fright even if you don't see them. With her long flowing hair, pale appearance, and blood-curdling scream, this creature is said to be the bringer of bad fortune. The origins of the Banshee can be traced back to the 8th century. In Irish folklore, a Banshee is said to be another type of fairy. I made a video about fairies, so go check it out if you're interested. But basically, fairies come in all shapes and sizes, and aren't as nice as modern pop culture would like you to believe. Usually depicted as a woman, Banshees scream loud and proud. Unlike other entities, a Banshee has little use for subtlety. Banshees are said to foretell the passing of a family member or even appear after a loved one has passed away to usher them into the next world. In the 8th century, a keener was a person who sang a very sorrowful song at someone's funeral or after someone had passed. These individuals were usually women and were paid in, you guessed it, alcohol. Tough job, but I guess somebody's got to do it. This is generally accepted as the tradition that started the Banshee myth. There are different types of Banshees as well, including good ones, if you can believe it. Some believe that Banshees are relatives that have passed on from this world and only appear as a warning of death or bad fortune. If a Banshee appears as a beautiful woman, she might be a relative who is just trying to make you aware of a potentially bad situation. This type of Banshee won't scream, but rather sing a melancholy song. There are, of course, truly wicked Banshees as well. One type of Banshee is thought to have been a young girl whose life was cut short. This type of Banshee is said to be so hateful that it appears as a ragged old woman with eyes filled with so much rage that staring into them will cause immediate death. Yeesh. Now that we know what a Banshee is, let's talk about some characters in the media that might be Banshees or inspired by Banshees. First is Sindel from the Mortal Kombat franchise. Sindel isn't like a Banshee, she is literally the spitting image of one. Sindel is the mother of the character Katana and is usually depicted as a woman with long silver hair and a scream that causes literal damage. It is also important to note that Sindel is usually depicted as being a spirit brought back from the dead. So yeah, the creators of Mortal Kombat really just laid it all out on the table for you. Next up is a character you probably weren't expecting, Black Canary or Canary. Black Canary is a character from the DC Comics universe. She is a superhero or superheroine. I don't really know the correct term. All I know is she's got powers and she knows karate and she screams very, very loud. Very similar to Sindel, except Canary is one of the good guys. Good gals. Whatever, you know what I mean. Canary uses her yell attack to stun and also deal devastating auditory damage to her opponents and sometimes allies. In some situations, we can also see, or rather hear, Canary sing in an almost angelic voice. Sounds to me like Canary could be the living representation of a good Banshee. The last character we will talk about is one that exists not just in fantasy media, but also in Latin folklore. You probably guessed it by now. I'm talking about La Llorona, or the Crying Woman, also known as the Wailer. This entity has been the topic of discussion for many paranormal investigators, enthusiasts, and concerned parents, if you can believe it. The story of La Llorona is a rather sad one. So apparently La Llorona was the wife of a Spanish conquistador. She had 2 kids by this man, but one day he abandoned her and their children for another woman. Because she was so hurt, she drowned her children in an attempt to hurt the man that hurt her. She would almost immediately regret her decision and ended up drowning herself right after. Now she is said to haunt bodies of water and wails mourning the death of her children. La Llorona is also used as a cautionary tale for misbehaved children. If they don't clean up their act, the wailing woman will come and take them away. So here we have 3 different examples of characters that pull inspiration from the Banshee. Is it a coincidence that they all happen to be women? I don't know, seems pretty intentional to me. Although I am a fan of horror stuff, I don't think I want to meet a Banshee.